The good news for the Steelers is Joey Porter Jr.'s back. The bad news is Jalen Ramsey's not. So what do they do in the secondary moving forward? We talk about that and more here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Steelers, your daily Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, bringing you your daily dose of all things on the Pittsburgh Steelers. As always, you can find them showing your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to get all of your daily Monday through Friday episodes as well as our bonus content. We thank you for making us your first listen every day because we're your team every day. We're joined by the man himself, Alan Saunders. You know him. You love him from SteelersNow.com. Alan joins us here. Alan, the Steelers did their sort of walkthrough early week bye week practice that they do normally on Mondays coming off of a bye week, and Joey Porter Jr. was back in action. We got to talk to him. We'll get to a clip of him in a second. So good news that the secondary is getting him back, but they're also probably not getting Jalen Ramsey for a couple games. He had a hamstring injury in that Ireland game against the Vikings. What's your outlook for this secondary and what they're going to have to do and what it's going to be like with basically swapping, the guy that, a guy in Joey Porter you want to be the number one cornerback and the guy who kind of has been the number one cornerback?
Well, I mean, I think the versatility of Ramsey is hard to replace. I think they'll try to use Brandon Echols to do that.
Right.
But it's difficult to put any one person into the role that Ramsey has been doing. I think it's impossible, actually. I don't think there's anybody you can just give that job to. It's going to have to be a group effort. I think you're going to see Slay and Porter mostly play outside. I think there'll be a lot more static defense without Ramsey in there. I think you'll see Brandon Echols mostly play in the slot. I think you'll see, Thornhill and Clark and Peppers continue to rotate in the safety around Deshaun Elliott, who I expect to play most of the time. That's the bad news, is that you really just can't replace Jalen Ramsey. The good news is there's no Jordan Addison over here. I mean, Jerry Jeudy is good. He's not as good as Justin Jefferson. There's nobody else in this Cleveland receiving group that's really a significant threat to take over a game in the way that the Vikings had two of those guys and presented a pretty unique challenge.
I agree with you there. This is an opportunity for them to do a little bit get right now. Maybe that's a question the week after when you get Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Granted,
big question there.
Granted, with Jake Browning at cornerback, but certainly some questions there. But we got a chance to catch up with Joey Porter Jr. in the Steelers locker room on Monday. Wanted to give you guys a sense of where he's at and how excited he is to get back into the fold. Here was Joey Porter Jr. when we talked to him. When Jalen's out there, he's moving around a lot. He's taking a lot of roles and responsibilities. What do you guys have to do when he's not available to keep up all the crazy things that you guys do defensively?
Like I said before, my bad.
You're good.
Like I said before, we got horses. That's the main thing Coach been telling us since we got together in camp. If a guy go down, we got pieces to put in. So it really doesn't really change too much about it. We're going to miss him out there, but it really doesn't change our game plans.
What have you seen get sharper with your group? I mean, you haven't been playing, but you're in the meeting rooms. You're seeing the practices. What in the games? What is getting sharper about this secondary that's letting you guys play faster?
I feel like just more. We got a lot of vets in our room that've been there, done that before. So just their approach to the game is different. They know how to watch tape. They know how to be a collective as a unit and just all fly around. So that's probably the biggest thing.
How well has Brandon fit in with you guys? Because it seems like whatever.
My dog Nick Herbig. All right, go ahead, my bad.
But it seems like wherever you guys put him, he finds a way to answer.
Yeah, just like I kept repeating, we got horses, and he was one of those horses that we got that's able to play a lot of positions. He knows it well. He's fluid in each position he plays. So he's just been a big piece of our success, really.
You talked earlier in the season about getting the chance to blitz some because you do have a career sack in your college career.
I do.
Are you excited for maybe to get that in action in this week against a division opponent?
I don't know. If they call it up, I'm gonna be ready for it. I've been waiting on that one for a minute, so I'm just gonna be ready whenever they call that play. I'm gonna run with my head on fire, so I'll be ready for it.
So Joey Porter Jr., he's talked to me about it a couple times since training camp about how he's like he's gone to Terrell Austin and Gerald Alexander and be like, hey man, hey, I can blitz. I did it in college, and they're like, yeah, whatever, just get back in coverage. But you're right. He's not going to play the role that Jalen Ramsey did because you're not going to move him around in the slot and then in the safety. But I still think this is a talented defense and talented secondary to still cause headaches back there to defense. Jalen Ramsey was just that really special extra chess piece that was going to be able to move things around and create some issues. But I still think with Joey Porter Jr. back in the fold, if he plays at a high level, and I think he has to play at a high level this year if he wants to, get that big contract extension he's going to want. I think that this can still be a very tough secondary to play when they're firing on all cylinders. And as I was talking to him about, and he was talking about, there is a meshing, a gelling that's happening between the players in this defense and in the secondary.
Yeah, I think there's that. I think there's a real chance here. I mean, look, one of the few negatives for the Steelers of acquiring Jalen Ramsey is you look at the development trajectory of Joey Porter Jr. and you go, okay, this helps the team this year, unquestionably. But you also want to be able to give Porter the opportunities to continue to develop into that number one corner that they think he can become. He hasn't quite been that yet, even though it was sort of cast that way last year at times. I think this is a really good opportunity for him to go out and throw up a blank against Jerry Jeudy. I mean, that's not a matchup that, he should be, shying away from. It's not like it's something that he can't do. Jeudy had a big game against the Steelers last year in the snow game, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
And so like go show how much better you are. Like I know he's coming off an injury, and that's probably a lot to put on him like right at this very second, but I don't know how many of these opportunities he's going to have when there's no Ramsey there to give them that X's and O's punch, that unpredictability, when they're just going to have to line up and say, okay, this guy's got this guy, let's see who's better. And I'm kind of curious to see how he does.
Same here. And like the Steelers, I think they need him to develop into that, to being that guy, like for the future, like even beyond like Jalen Ramsey and anything that he does moving forward. They drafted Joey Porter Jr. early in the second round with the full intent of him becoming the guy at the cornerback position for several years to come. And he's, you and I have talked about it. He's flashed some really good potential. He's also shown his propensity for penalties and had other issues in the past, but these were all things that you could see them fixing up. Derrick Harmon, and we'll get to him in a bit, came off of being injured and has played, I think, pretty well that you could ask for him as a rookie. It's going to be big for Joey Porter Jr. to show that he can do the same as a veteran who's been working to improve his game.
Yeah, Porter said today also that he felt like he could have gone last week, said, hey, Mike T had a plan. It's fine. I certainly, from my perspective, can understand wanting to be cautious with a soft tissue injury when, you're dealing with the international travel on top of everything else. The last thing I want to do with a bad hamstring is get crammed into a metal tube for 7 hours. And so I perfectly understand, but I think he should be able to hit the ground running health-wise. He was a limited participant in practice last week. Seems like he's, probably could have gone last week if he had to, and he should be okay health-wise. And so as long as he stays healthy, I think this is a good test for him. And I mean, look, Ramsey's out this week. There is one practice next week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to figure you're probably looking at a 2-week absence there, and that game is going to be a real big test for Joey Porter Jr. So important for him to get whatever rust knocked off there is in this game and be ready to go for Cincinnati.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk to Alan about the run defense because we talked to both Patrick Queen and Derrick Harmon about how that's going up front. We'll discuss that next here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter. Stick with us. Be right back. But first, I want to remind you this show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun way to stay locked in for the season. It's quick, easy, and honestly the best way to follow along with football. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5. Prize Picks, run your game. We're back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter here with Alan Saunders of SteelersNow.com. Let's take you to our chat, or some of the things we got to hear from Patrick Queen in the Steelers locker room, asking him about the Steelers run defense and the kind of culture they're trying to kind of develop with their current meshing of young and old players on the Steelers defense.
Pat, what clicked with you guys in the run fit and how you guys what clicked with you guys and how in your run fits this the last level against the Vikings? Because it seemed like you guys were quick to the hole and addressing each gap pretty consistently.
Yeah, just trusting our teammates to do their job. Whatever gap you got, play that gap and be physical. I think when you do that, and then you get to the ball and try to get that ball, I think that's the biggest thing. But we just trust each other. We're going out there playing fast, having fun, trusting each other, doing our job.
There was one player, I think you and Peyton met the running back in the backfield. I saw you just kind of go kind of crazy afterwards. Was there a sense that, like, hey, it's clicking, we're getting it, we're taking the steps forward that we know we can?
Yeah, we just went out and have fun. I kind of talked to Denzel about this, and I was like, you could just see, like, sometimes like last year, and I looked at the film like from years before, you'll see somebody make a play, it's like the whole sideline wouldn't be into it, or like the whole defense wouldn't be into it. And I was just like, what could bring that energy back? So I think we just go out there and have fun. You know, somebody make a play, we all celebrate, we all have fun with it. I think that's going to lead to bigger plays.
Now, Alan, I was in the stands in Ireland. I wasn't in the press box, but I was able to see that, like, that play. I just remember thinking live, like, Patrick Queen seems like, we're figuring it out. We are taking a step forward. You can see him. He's trying to be the energy guy in the middle because, listen, I know Patrick Queen's not the best player on this defense, but he's still vitally important. He's going to be the guy that's the glue that communicates for everyone, but also is trying to be a leader in the sense that, you know, because he's coordinating things on the field, he wants to also be the energy guy, and he is making a lot of plays again in the Vikings game. I see what he's trying to do here as an important part of what the Steelers need to be in the long run to achieve the defense they want to be.
Yeah, I think that's real leadership, Patrick Queen, and it's not just rah-rah for the sake of rah-rah. It's taking a look at what your team needs, what you feel like you're falling short at, and saying, okay, I can be the one to provide that. I can do it. And I think that's really that's follow me leadership. That's saying, like, here's what we need, and I'm going to be the, you know, and I'm going to be the one to provide it. And I think Patrick Queen has been that for the Steelers, but I think when you're new to a team, sometimes it just takes some time to have the perspective to know this is what we need. You know, when you're the new guy, you're still trying to internalize everything. You're tied up in your own responsibilities. You're in your own head. He's calling plays again, which he hadn't been doing for the previous couple of years. There was a lot going on. And I think now you're seeing Patrick Queen not only play better, because I think he is. I think he's playing better and freer and flowing the ball more naturally and looking more like the player he was in Baltimore so far this year. But I think you're also seeing that leader come out that I think those of us that have talked to him and known him have kind of always known was there, but hasn't really tangibly shown up for the Steelers a whole lot until this season.
No, I agree. I think that's a big part of what they're doing. Speaking of the young guys you talked about, we got a chance to talk to Derrick Harmon. Both you and I have talked about it. I think we both agree he's had a heck of a good start and an impactful start in his first 2 games with the Steelers. I got to ask him about that and a few other things. Here was Derrick Harmon in the Steelers locker room.
You come out and you're missing a couple weeks, being injured, and you weren't able to practice for a while, but it seemed like you were hitting on a lot of your fundamentals, your hand placement, working against guys. What goes into being able to come off, fresh and being able to hit the ground running the way you have?
Just doing routine things, That's all we got to do. That's all.
What's Carl Dunbar been saying just about your early plays as a rookie?
He's been knowing me, man. Just like
he's been on me, just trying to coach me up to his best of ability. And like I said, we're doing routine things routinely, and we're doing little fundamentals every day. I feel like his drills, like I said earlier, his drills really translate to the field. So.
Patrick Quinn was telling me how, just energy-wise, him and the other leaders, they're trying to make sure, like, after every big play, it's like celebrate your wins, stay focused, and get ready. What do you feel about the culture that's developing with this defense, with the young guys and the old guys?
It's coming together, man. I feel like me personally, that first few weeks, it came off. Guys making plays. Ain't nobody going to smack nobody helmet or none. Now you see last week, guys make a small tackle, but guys hyping that person up. So it's like, no plays big, too small, no plays too big. Like, just congratulate your brother. Let's get to the next play. Let's do our job.
I think Derrick Harmon is a guy who, and you and I talked about this because you and I waited 2 hours for him at the combine, but we eventually got him, and we were so impressed by how well he spoke and how well he answered questions. How well he could think on his feet with questions. He seems like he gets a lot of things about football, not just on the field, but off the field as well, as far as those leadership things and those energy things. And I think that these are the types of guys, him and Queen, meaning the Steelers need for this defense to be a more complete unit, because we've seen they can be a playmaking unit. Like TJ Watt can go crazy. Nick Herbig can go off. And we'll get to the OLBs in a bit here. We've seen Jalen Ramsey make plays, but for this to be a complete defense, an elite defense, they need all 11 positions, and really 13, because you're still rotating a lot of guys, like 14 or 15 guys. But you need everyone to kind of lock in and be dialed in on what you're trying to do week in and week out. And it's stuff like this that I think can help you get there when you're getting this kind of production and the buy-in from young guys and old guys in different position groups.
Yeah, and I think the contributions from Derrick Harmon early on have been, I think, a little bit understated. He has a sack, 2 quarterback hits, a pass deflection, and, of course, the tackle for loss, which is the sack, in 2 games. Cam Hayward's rookie year, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 4 quarterback hits, and pass deflection. So he's basically got Cam Hayward's rookie year production in 2 games. Now, he's getting more playing time than Cam did. Sure, it's not apples to apples. But I just think defensive line, offensive line, these are positions that, for me, the bigger you are, the closer you are to the ball, the bigger the jump from college to the pros. And these guys, he has great leaders around him. He has great people to lean on. And I think you're really seeing a really productive environment when you get a smart kid who wants to be great, puts in the work, has great leadership. Like, that's like the sort of perfect sauce for having someone hit the ground running and being really productive as a rookie.
The Steelers defense right now ranks, hold on, I have to actually make sure I do this the right way. Ranks 20th at 24.5 points allowed per game going into this week. And actually, this doesn't take into account the Chiefs and the Jaguars game, so there might be some adjustments there. But right now they rank 20th in the NFL. Now that's a climb up from where they were a couple weeks ago when they were giving up a lot more points in their first couple games. And but to get there, I did the math. To get to where, like, say, the Jaguars were coming into Monday Night Football. By the way, crazy game Monday Night Football. The Jaguars pulling that one out against the Chiefs. To get to where the Jaguars and Chiefs defenses are, where the Jaguars going into this week allowed 18 points a game, the Chiefs 19 points a game. To get to that 18 points per game mark, the Steelers would have to give up, on average, 16 points a game, like the rest of the way for the next 13 weeks. And I ask you, Alan, with the teams that are on their schedule, again, it doesn't mean they're going to always hold teams to 16 points or less, but is that something that you think they could do with this defense and the teams that are in front of them in their schedule? Or, if maybe not 18 points per game, can they get this down to maybe 20 or so by the end of the season?
No. I mean, I don't think they can hold teams to 16 points a game the rest of the way. I think that's unrealistic. They do play the Browns twice, so I mean, there is that. But they also play a bunch of good offenses. They play the Ravens twice. They play the Bills. They play the Lions. Even the
Packers.
Dolphins, when they're not good, can still put up points.
Mm-hmm.
The Packers are very good. And so, no, I don't think that's very realistic. I also think it's very illustrative to look at the Chiefs and the Jaguars. And now coming into Monday Night Football, they were the 4 and 5 teams in scoring defense. Yes. Jaguars 18 points a game, Chiefs 19 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I don't need to be either of them. The Jaguars also 3.25 turnovers a game. And to me, the Chiefs won. I would much rather have the turnovers than any of that. Give me the turn. I don't want to be fourth in scoring. I don't want to be fifth in scoring. I want to be first in turnovers. That's what the Jaguars are. The Steelers are second, 2.5 points turnovers per game right now. But like to me, that's like the points will come if you're getting turnovers. And the Steelers offense, we're talking about whether the Steelers defense, it's possible for them to go on some kind of like absolutely man on fire historic run where they just shut down every team the rest of the way to get down to a really good number after giving up a bunch of points the first 4 weeks. And although I'm saying I don't think we can do it, like it's a conversation, right? They have enough talent where like it's not a ridiculous question. The Steelers offense, I don't know how much better they can be than what they've been, but if the defense keeps feeding them turnovers, that's the best way for the Steelers to maximize their potential to win games. So like the points matter. Obviously, you don't want to give them points, but getting the Steelers offense the ball back might actually be more impactful.
I remember when you asked Terrell Austin about the turnovers last week, and I got the vibe you were going for. You were kind of being like, because there's some people out there that say you can't win with turnovers. You got to be able to do it. And listen, you can't always win with turnovers. Sometimes you won't get them, but they are a very necessary part to playing great defense. You need to come up with them at some point because you're not always just going to win schematically every time with every play call and just keep guessing right with what they're trying to do. You need to be able to take the ball away. You need to be able to set your offense up. And that's where I think this Steelers defense is focused right now and trying to be as a group is trying to be more complete there. Win more set up more third and longs, win more third and longs, but still be opportunistic because that is every part of what I think the Steelers, if they are at their best, that's what they're being, is opportunistic on defense.
Yeah, and I think that's possible. Like I think the Steelers finishing number 1 in the league in turnovers is a realistic expectation as we sit here right now.
There you go. We want to take some more questions on the defense. In fact, we're going to take one of your questions because we told you all we're opening back up the Locked On Steelers call-in line for during the bye week. We'll get to that question as it revolves around the OLB situation next here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Chris Carter, Alan Saunders, stick with us. We'll be right back. But first, I want to remind you this show is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IHS top safety pick awards than anyone else. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence and with almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. We're back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, here with Alan Saunders back here on the show. As we told you all at the end of last week, we were going to open back up the Locked On Steelers call-in line. As always, you can call into the show at 412-223-6644. Leave your name, where you're from, keep your question under a minute. Sometimes during the season, it's harder to get to the call-in line, but during the bye week, I figured let's get some questions. And I saved this question for today because we answered several questions yesterday, thanks to everyone who's called in. But check out this question from Tristan in Denver, Colorado about Nick Herbig. And I think it does open up the question of how do the Steelers handle Alex Highsmith being back healthy, because it looks like he will be this week. Here was Tristan's question.
Chris, this is Tristan from Denver. I have a stat question. I don't know if this is an actual stat or not, but I would like to know the impact play percentage for Nick Herbig, whether it's sacks, forced fumble, tackle for loss. I don't know if you include pressures in that or not, but it seems like every time this kid's on the field, he's making an impact play. And it has to be one of the highest, at least on the team. Like, it might even be better than TJ Watt. I mean, TJ Watt's a dog, but I just think from a snap to play percentage, Nick Herbig is making impact plays every single week in minimal snaps. So, very just, weird question, but figured I'd ask it. Thanks.
Thank you, Tristan. Appreciate everyone who always calls in with their questions. Please do so at 412-223-6644. Leave your name, where you're from. Keep your question under a minute, and we'll get to your question. Get to your questions on the show as fast as we can. Alan, so I don't have the full the full numbers as far as everything that he does when it comes to the defensive side and the percentage of plays where he makes a play, but that is something that Pro Football Focus tracks as far as like pressure rates and like the percentage of pass rush plays that they're impacting. And Nick Herbig currently ranks 43rd with an 8 point in the NFL with 8.1% of the pass rush reps that he has resulting in a pressure or impacted play somehow. But I think the thing about Nick Herbig that I'm truly impressed is that he's not just making an impact there. He's reading screens and jumping in the way of those. He's stuffing the run a bit better. He's being more contentious there. And I think if you're the Steelers and Nick Herbig continues on this way, I still say they don't bench Alex Highsmith for him just yet. I do think that you try to explore all your options at the end of the season. But I think I've been impressed by Nick Herbig at the start of this season. I think that if they can get all three of their outside linebackers healthy at the same time for a large portion of the season, it's going to make this defense even that much more dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key thing in that call was the phrase that it seems like every time he's out there. And yeah, he's had some good games with Alex Highsmith out. I'm not discounting those. But he also gets fairly cherry-picked reps when all three guys are out there, and that he is mostly just asked to be a pass rusher.
Yeah.
His percentage of his snaps where he is able to be a pass rusher is significantly higher over his career than both Highsmith and Watt. So if you just look at it in terms of, well, like he has 11 sacks over the last over his 3 seasons, and he's been in the game for 784 snaps. And Alex Highsmith has 14 sacks over that range and has been in for 1,500 snaps. And you're like, oh, he's twice as productive, right? But it's not quite apples to apples, right? And I don't think there's any argument that Highsmith is the better run defender of those two. I agree that Herbig has played better in that area recently, but I think Highsmith has really gotten quite good against the run. I think the bottom line is what the Steelers are doing with Nick Herbig is working, and there is no reason to change it. Just let him go be a pass rusher. Just let him go get all that splash and be a freshman nightmare for teams that happen to stumble into 3rd and long against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're not getting the most out of Nick Herbig having him taking on pulling guards on 1st and 10. Like that's not what he's best at anyway. I used to cover the Pirates many moons ago. Loved covering Clint Hurdle. One of the things Clint Hurdle taught me was that this is a specifically male disease. Women don't do this. This is a fundamental difference between the sexes, is that men will see something and then we have like a cultural instinct to just take it too far. Just like, hey, Nick, this much Nick Herbig is great. More Nick Herbig has to be better, right? And that's not always the case. I think they're playing TJ Watt a little bit too much. I think a little bit less of him would probably be better. I think you get to like 80, 40, and to me that feels really good. Okay, but more of something that is working and less is not always better.
I feel you on that. That's certainly I think part of what the Steelers are trying to weigh right now is the usage and who gets out there. And because Alex Highsmith's coming off an injury, if he does come off injury, you're going to want to give him some rest. So I think that's part of the key this year is finding the right balance with the edge rushers and when to use them and how to use them and when to win. Because if they're able to do that, I guess it goes a long way for them. And I think Herbig can be special. I think Herbig can be part of it. I still say not Javon McIntyre. I'm mixing up my pit people. I still say Alex Highsmith is your starter. But again, as you and I talked about when people have asked us, should the Steelers trade Alex Highsmith away because Nick Herbig's so good? No, you want this trio to be healthy together because they've rarely been healthy together, and they've never been healthy together when Nick Herbig, I think, had shored up a lot of the weak spots in his game. And with him, Watt, and Highsmith, it can make for serious terror problem for offenses to contain when the Steelers want to go after people.
Yeah, now, I mean, to answer that question, like big picture, like are they going to pay all three of them full price starting edge rusher salary long term? Probably not. Probably eventually you get to a point where you got to make one decision or another. But yeah, I don't think you're going to see some large shift from Alex Highsmith to Nick Herbig. I do think they can play Watt a little bit less, and I do think we'll see all three of them on the field together a little bit more. They got to get more third and longs. If they can do that, they can put those three outside linebackers out there with Cam Hayward, and that is a nasty pass blocking chore.
I agree, and that's a big part of why we keep emphasizing they need to stop the run. And if they're able to do this, it could set up something where it can set up the path for the defense to start allowing more of those 16 points or less gains that we were talking about in the last segment. But still a lot to come this year. We'll see how things play out. Mike Tomlin talks later today. It's Tuesday. We'll talk about that with Shelby Cassesi from Channel 11 tomorrow, so tune in for that. And then, of course, we got crossover Thursday this week. It's going to be an action-packed week here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. Alan, let people know they can find you, follow you, and get more of your work.
Saunders_PGH on social media, SteelersNow.com, and you can find my podcast, Steelers Morning Rush and Steelers Afternoon Drive, on the Steelers Now YouTube page or anywhere you find podcasts.
Absolutely. He's Alan Saunders. I'm Chris Carter. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. Same handle everywhere. It's at Carter Critiques. You can read my work in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette by going to post-gazette.com. You can find me here every day, Monday through Friday, on the Locked On Steelers podcast, on your favorite podcasting apps, and on YouTube. Like this if you enjoy it. Subscribe to this channel to get all of those daily episodes. We're back here tomorrow after Mike Tomlin has spoken right here on the Locked On Steelers podcast.